Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teresa from the blog and YouTube channel free2flower.com, where I share homesteading how-tos, cooking from scratch, and living on our simple European farm. I'm here today with Micah, my husband. We planned a whole morning of work outside. We have some things that we need to work on in the fields here to set up for our animals and other things, our garden, and we're going to show you a little bit of what we're doing today. But first, I wanted to preface it by talking about what we're going to be doing.
We're putting a wattle fence, which means we have to move the old fence.
For those of you who don't know what a wattle fence is a natural woven fence. We made one around our garden and we love it. It looks great. I think it looks super cute. It's super easy to make and it's actually really low cost. So I have a whole video on how you can make a wattle fence. I'll link it up above. And I also have, for those of you who are like me and you like to read things in written form, not necessarily just watch the YouTube video, I wrote out the entire process in a blog post. I will link it in the description box below.
So we're making the other half. We got some posts, 40. I didn't do the math on that, so we'll see if that works. We have to move the old fence because we set this area up a long time ago and it's not straight.
If you've been following for any amount of time, you will know that this was our first year implementing our new permaculture garden plan. And I think overall it was a success. There's some things that we learned, some things that we loved, some things that we didn't love so much. If you want to know more about that, watch my garden tour video. I talk in depth on that there. But essentially today we are continuing with the implementation of that plan by moving some fences. What is the second fence that we're moving?
We're moving one fence, which is a electric fence. We're getting it out of the way. It's in the way.
Yep.
It's not straight, so we have to move it.
We're also...
Oh, we might be using the pieces of this fence and actually just moving it to cut the field in half for the cows.
Yeah, so we're going to keep our cows in the back.
Yeah.
To create some more space for maybe other animals in the front or just a cleaner front part of our field. All right, well, we're also definitely going to be in the kitchen later cooking up all things pumpkin as it is fall. So make sure to stick around for that. Come along. Okay, here we go. We are building the outer fence to our garden. Our garden design has several different fencing levels to allow chickens and ducks and some other animals to actually access parts of the garden and let us weed it and eat slugs. We have a huge problem with slugs here in the summer. I have figured out a really neat way to trap them. If you're interested in that, if you also have a slug problem, I'm gonna link a whole article that I wrote about it, a whole blog post on my blog in the description box below so you can check it out. I will also put somewhere here on the screen a plan of our permaculture garden so that you can see the vision that we're working towards. We are actually super excited to get some aerial shots with the drone sometime in the spring to see how far we've come in a year's time. I feel like everything is moving so slowly, but when there are so many other things to do on the farm, we only have that much time to dedicate to this. And whenever it's a task that requires both me and Micah to work on it together, we need to get a friend or somebody to come and babysit our kids so that we don't have to be worrying about them while we're working on something. After helping Micah a little bit, I left him to continue with the fence building and I went back home to do some chores that were waiting for me inside in the kitchen. It is fall, we are bringing in the last of our garden produce, and so I am processing it all, freezing it, storing it for the winter time so that we have goodies all winter long, hopefully. I'll see how long we last. I have a sneaking suspicion we need to plant a lot more vegetables in order for them to last us all winter long, but hey, this will only be our second winter, first without a newborn, so I am giving us some slack with the planning. Since it is fall and this video was recorded a few weeks ago now, I have a bunch of pumpkins from the garden and also from friends of ours, and I decided I'm going to use them all to decorate the space because I love pumpkins and I love this time of year so much. And I was also using this as an opportunity to declutter. Our European farmhouse is 160 years old, which is so impressive, even to me. The history is so rich that I can do a whole separate YouTube video about this at some point, which I probably will do because we are planning some big renovation works. Probably next year. This is a spoiler alert. I have not mentioned this anywhere else before. So if you are watching this, drop a comment below and tell me if you think it's a good idea or not. We are pretty excited about it, but I'm also super nervous about it. But back to what I was saying, if you live in a house that is this old, but mostly a house that's been in one family, not for 160 years, but for about 60, and many different generations have actually lived in this house. My half siblings have lived and grown up here. Then we came here, and then my family lives here. Lots of stuff accumulates. And people have never really been that diligent to go through everything and clean up after themselves. And so things just accumulated in different areas of the house. And now that we live here full time, which growing up my family never has, we need the space. And I also get just so tired with clutter. I don't know if there's anybody else out there who feels the same. I'm pretty sure lots of moms do. I just get so overwhelmed with the clutter. And so my ongoing task is to constantly declutter the house and minimize and minimize. Lisa from Farmhouse is such an inspiration with this. If you're not aware, she has, I think, 8 children at the moment. And she is just a really hardcore minimalist, but in a way where her house still feels and looks really cozy and welcoming. And that is exactly what I'm going for. I am not really into the whole bare bones look of the interior or exterior. I do like a little bit of decorations and a little bit of that farmhouse feel, but I hate being overwhelmed with clutter. And with so many projects going on and work and kids, it can all really pile up. And I've come to the phase of my life where I refuse to be a slave to my stuff. So every single week, I try to go through an area of the house, and maybe it's an area with just our stuff in it, which is what I've been doing today in this video. Maybe it's an area that has other people's stuff in it, which is where it gets really tricky. And I usually call on my mom to come help me and sort through her stuff because a lot of it is hers, or my dad's stuff. My dad passed away almost 10 years ago, but we still have a lot of his stuff here because people have not been going through it. And so this is something that I will be working on all winter long, and my goal is that by the time we emerge in spring, this house will be completely minimalized. I'm also hoping this is going to help us with moving out for the time of the reno. Okay, quickly, I am making garlic soup here. This is amazing and super simple recipe. Great if you've got a little tickle in your throat or if you're hungover, which I never am, but if you ever are, this is a great remedy. I have the full recipe on my blog. I will link it in the description box below. One of the things I've been really enjoying about living on a farm in Europe is that some things that we were used to just buying at the store in America are not available here. And one of those things is pumpkin puree. I can't find pumpkin puree at the store for the life of me. And at the beginning, I was really annoyed by this because the convenience, it's just extremely convenient and it's cheap. So in the US, I would just buy it without a second thought. Here, I am forced to make my own, and at first I was really annoyed that I have to take all these extra steps just to get some pumpkin puree, but after I've done it a few times, I can't tell you, first of all, it's so easy. It is so easy. It does require a little tiny bit of planning just because you won't have a can sitting in your pantry unless you make some and can it, but after you come to terms with the fact that this is an extra step you have to take, the homemade pumpkin puree is so much nicer, and I just love the thought that it comes from my own garden, or I have some pumpkins that were gifted to me by friends of ours. So I have been making homemade pumpkin puree. Let me know if you would like the recipe for that. I don't currently have it on the blog, but I can put it up. It's extremely simple and fast, and a great thing to have on hand for all the fall things. I have recently made pumpkin sourdough pancakes. We had some pumpkin sourdough bread that I do have a recipe coming. And I also made some delicious copycat Starbucks pumpkin latte sauce, pumpkin spice latte sauce. I will link that in the description box below too. Right, so back to decluttering. This drawer is a little bit of a mix of things that people have brought and gifted us, things that we no longer use, and things that have just gotten spilled, and just, it's so messy. And I have been dreading this drawer for a really long time. But with my new method of attacking one area per week, I've actually kind of expanded on that a little bit. And when I find that I'm walking around something numerous times and it really bothers me, and sometimes some mess or clutter really does deeply bother me every single time I see it, I will spend just 30 minutes after the kids are in bed going through that particular area. Now today I had a longer chunk of time. We had somebody watching the kids for us, and Micah was out working, so I decided to go through the entire thing, get the old out, make sure that we can actually find the things we're using. I gifted a bunch of things that we no longer really use or we had way too much of. And I also did my favorite thing, which is I sorted everything into glass jars. Now, we don't really have mason jars here. We do have some other brands. I find that they're extremely overpriced, and so many goods from the grocery store come in glass jars. So I just end up reusing glass jars from the grocery store. Some of them don't look the cutest, but they really work super well. And I have actually found a really cute tutorial on how to make the lids all match. I am planning on trying it out, and I will keep you guys posted on the results. For now, I am using my nifty little label maker over here and labeling everything so that we know what is where, and our cooking process can be more streamlined. Thank you guys so much for following along this fall day on our European farm. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button so that you never miss a new video. Till next week.